So today's flight is from the John Wayne Airport in Santa Ana down the coast to Carlsbad in the McClellan-Palomar Airport. It's a simple flight just down one airway, and then we'll likely get vectors for the ILS into Palomar. If you're getting familiar with the simulator and familiar with the Pilot Edge ATC system, and you want to do this flight in VMC and just accept the visual approach, that's completely fine. I'll be setting up the weather to minimums in Carlsbad. So let's take a look at the routing here. In Southern California, there's the Tower and Route Control System, or the Tech Route system, that dictates what route you'll be flying between a lot of different city pairs. So I have the route dialed in here, but let's take a look at where we would find that. So we get it in the Southwest chart supplement. You can see I just have that saved in ForeFlight here. And we go to the Tower and Route Control section. And these routes are not necessarily from airport to airport, but they're from area to area. So they can serve multiple airports. So what we're doing here is scrolling through to find our area. So this is the Burbank area, and you can see the airports that it serves right below: Burbank, Van Nuys, and Whiteman. Coast area is going to be us. So SNA is one of the airports this one's from. And then we scroll down the to list, and we're looking for CRQ. So here's one route to CRQ, and you can see this route also serves NFG, NKX, and OKB. The route ID is Coast November 17, and the route is Victor 25 Pacific, Victor 208 Oceanside. And then the altitude here is where we can see if this actually applies to us. So JM are abbreviations for different aircraft types. JM are jet and turboprop. P and Q are props, either over 190 knots or less than 190 knots. But they tend to go together, the P and Q routes and the J and M routes. So in this case, this is for jets and turboprops at 7,000 feet. By the way, these letters, what they stand for, you can find them at the start of this section. So it's worth reading the intro to get a little bit of background on tech routes. So this isn't the route we want, so we want to keep going and try and find another CRQ route. So here's some that are just from Long Beach. Now some more from SNA, which is us. None of them there. And here we go. So from SNA to CRQ, NFG, NKX, and OKB again. The coast November 30, and the route is just Victor 23 to Oceanside. And this one is PQ for props at 5,000. So this is the one that applies to us. So let's jump back to the map page. And I already have it dialed in here. I'll switch over to the IFR chart. And the route is Victor 23 Oceanside. So without any instructions for how to get on Oceanside, we can expect some sort of local departure instructions to get there. I have Balbo as the fix on the on ForeFlight, but that doesn't mean we're going directly there. We'll receive some other departure instructions for how to join Victor 23, and then follow that down to Oceanside. So with that in mind, let's look at the John Wayne Airport and see what departure procedures there are there and what we might get assigned. So go to the airport page and John Wayne, procedures, departures. And I'm not going to go through all the departure procedures because I happen to know that none of them really apply to this route. They're mostly for jets, or they take us farther away than we're going here. So, but what I do want to pull up is the diverse vector area, because this is a relatively new thing. And this is just in the takeoff minimum section. So here's Santa Ana, California, John Wayne Airport. We have the obstacle departure procedure and takeoff minimums, close-in obstacle, notes, and then down here we have the diverse vector area. And basically what a diverse vector area is that you can expect to get radar vectors, but they may come with a non-standard climb gradient. And you won't be informed of that non-standard climb gradient by ATC. You'll have to have read this section and just know that you're supposed to comply with it. So for runways 2 left and 2 right, headings is assigned by ATC. And without an additional comment there about the climb gradient, we can assume it's just a standard climb gradient of 200 feet per nautical mile. Off of 20 left, headings as assigned requires minimum climb of 260 feet per nautical mile to 1300. And then off of 20 right, headings as assigned by ATC requires minimum climb of 270 feet per nautical mile to 1300. John Wayne uses the 2 zeros They do south ops unless there's a pretty strong wind from the north, so we can expect we'll be getting 20 left or right. And 270 feet or 260 feet per nautical mile is something we can do comfortably, even in the Skyhawk that we're going to be using for today's flight. So we can expect radar vectors there. Our clearance will be a little more specific on what we can expect exactly. Okay, so in my plate binder, I have the airport diagram at John Wayne. We'll be parked at Signature to start up, and I'll demonstrate in a bit how to configure the sim for starting up this flight. Then I have the ILS 20 right at John Wayne. This would be in case we need to return to our departure airport for some reason. This is the approach we would use. Then the ILS 24 at Palomar. I would expect that we'll get vectors to that approach. And then our airport diagram at Palomar, and we'll go to we'll park at Western Flight over on the east side here. I like to do my simulator flights the same way I do my real flights, is to the extent that I can. I try to get in the mindset that I would do the same checklists and flows that I would make it an end-to-end flight, ramp to ramp, startup to shutdown. So I keep a checklist in for flight here that's for simulator use only. There's some items removed that don't apply to the simulator pre-flight and things like that. All right, and now let's jump in the sim and I'll take a look at how to set up this flight. So we're gonna keep things simple for this one. I'm just in the 172. I already have the aircraft loaded. You'll do that from the small touchscreen monitor. And then we need to set up our starting location. So we go to bring the mouse up to the top of the screen of the 3-screen visual on the TouchTrainer, and we go to location and select global airport. And then in this airport box here, you would type in KSNA, which I already have. And you can also set your location from the small touchscreen. Going into the X-plane menus give you some more options for ramp starts. So we're going to go to the Signature 1 spot. Okay, and now for setting up weather. So there's a couple ways that you can do this. As I mentioned, you're free to use whatever weather you want on this flight. If you just want to go in VMC and get used to the IFR system on Pilot Edge and get used to the simulator, that's fine. But let's go to environment now. And again, this is one that you can set from the small touch screen if you want, or you can do it this way. So environment and weather. And right now we have up on the top here, set weather uniformly for the whole world selected. The other option is all the way on the right. It's grab real weather from the net. So if the weather was in the real world was like we wanted for this flight, we would do that. The way I actually have this set up on this particular simulator is I have it set up to download the real world weather except for the clouds and visibility. And we can do this on the TouchTrainer. If you have an instructor with you, that we can set that up on the instructor station. So what I'm going to do is look at the approach at Palomar. And my minimums are 527. So it's important to remember that these altitudes here are MSL. And I'll set 550 to give myself a chance. And I'll move the cloud tops all the way up. Actually, we got to go to Stratosphere first. So 550 with high cloud tops means we'll just be in IMC the whole way. Visibility, 3/4 of a mile is our minimums. So I'll just drag it down to about here. And let's go moderate rain. And everything else is going to be downloaded from the internet. We'll get real weather. You can see the winds are out of the south where we are currently at 6 knots. So the next thing we want to do is connect to the Pilot Edge network. So again, from the menu on top here, we go to Plugins, Pilot Edge, and Connect. And the username and password will be already set up with Walsall's information. Call sign, you want to use something unique to you. So if you have an airplane and you want to use that call sign, that's great. It's a good idea to use the same call sign and to use a call sign that is going to be unique to you, because that way you can go and look up your flights on the Pilot Edge network. They have a tool similar to Flight Aware. It's called PE Aware, and you can find all your flights and look them all up that way. So I use 252 Romeo Kilo. And aircraft type, C-172. Airline and livery we leave blank.
Connected to Pilot Edge.
Okay, and then we want to file a flight plan. And an interesting thing about tower en route is that you actually don't need to file a flight plan if you don't want to. You can call up and ask for tower en route to Palomar in this case, and they'll come back with either a full route clearance or a clearance including the tech route code that we saw. But we are going to file a flight plan. So we go to Pilot Edge, file flight plan. I'm going to change this to Cessna 172. We're going KSNA to KCRQ. Our route was Victor 23, I believe. Yep, Victor 23, Oceanside. Altitude was 5,000. True airspeed, it's a 172 SP. We'll call it 120. And the sim, I don't go for fuel economy, so I'll just pretty much go full rental power. Alternate, we didn't look at alternates, so we can do that now. And actually, I'm not going to bother filing alternate because I'm not necessarily interested in the exercise of practicing filing one, and Pilot Edge doesn't care. And my weather is set uniformly, so it wouldn't really make a lot of sense. But time en route, let's see. Got the wrong aircraft information here, so 5,000. Actually, there we go. Time en route, we'll call it 25 minutes. And fuel on board, 3.5 is fine. Okay, so we're filed. Now, speaking of fuel on board, if you want to change that, you can do it, again, from the small touchscreen. I don't have the small touchscreen here to demonstrate on the videos, but when you get checked out on the sim, you'll get shown how to do that. Otherwise, you can go to Aircraft on the X-Plane menu and choose Weight and Fuel, and you can set all those parameters here. And I just realized one thing I didn't do that I like to do, and one thing I actually forgot to do on the flight plan. So we go to File Flight Plan again. And under aircraft type, they're going to want to know our equipment suffix. So we'll go slant golf. And I like to put in the remarks that we have our own weather. So just IFR weather. Because otherwise the controllers assume that we're using the real world weather. Either way, we'll have to request if we want something other than a visual approach today. But this way, they at least might see that in the remarks. So file IFR, we'll redo that. And let's get this underway. So now that we're filed and connected to Pilot Edge, we do things exactly as we would in the real airplane. So let's turn on the master and we'll pick up our clearance here. Downwind clearance Skyhawk 252 Romeo Kilo IFR to Palomar with hotel.
For 252 Romeo Kilo downwind clearance, go to Palomar Airport via flighting 175, radar vectors Victor 23, then as filed. Climb maintain 5,000, departure on 128.1, squawk 6711.
Clear to Palomar heading 175, radar vectors Victor 23, 5,000, departure 128.1, squawk 6711, Skyhawk 252 Romeo Kilo.
Number 252 Romeo Kilo, reback correct.
Long Beach clearance, number 111 Delta Yankee IFR 7.
Alright, so let's set that up as much as we can. 6711 in the transponder.
November 111 Delta Yankee, Long Beach
Departure
clearance.
128.1. And the tower frequency, we're likely to get 20 left.
Santa Monica ground, Delta
So there's
1462.
two tower frequencies here, one for the left side, one for the right side.
Tango.
So the left side is 119.9.
Delta 1462 Santa Monica ground runway.
Alright, so all our frequencies are squared away.
Taxi via Alpha.
5,000 is the
21
altitude,
via Alpha,
heading is 175, we'll bug that. And radar vectors to Victor 23. So let's set up our route.
237 Vito Bravo, 6 miles south. Landing information.
So the route I'm going to put in here is
For 237 Victor Bravo,
Seal
San Luis
Beach.
Tower, enter left base.
We're not going to go to Seal
runway
Beach, but
29,
that's one of the
report
fixes
2
that
miles
defines
south of
Victor
field.
23, so we'll activate that leg. So Seal Beach and then Oceanside.
Call left base, runway 29, 237.
Report 2 miles south of the field,
and then
please.
SNA-CRQ. That's all we need. And we'll go menu and copy flight plan. Yes.
Number 237 Victor Bravo.
So that'll save the flight plan so that after we
report
turn
2
off the
miles
avionics
south of
and
the
turn it
field.
back on, we can still have access to that. And then let's put in Seal Beach 115.7 on the nav2. Identify that, and we'll put 120. Okay. And we may as well put Oceanside 115.3 in the standby, just as a backup. So flight plan, over to page 2, cursor, and all the way down to, I think it was number 10. Yep, and then menu, activate flight plan. And what we're gonna do here is go down to
Los Angeles, clearance, clear the Palm Springs
Oceanside
Airport via
and activate leg. The two ways to do that are to go to menu and activate leg, or the shortcut is direct activate.
Climb via SID, accept maintain 5,000. Expect 9,000 after
Bugs and
5
radios
minutes.
are set,
Departure
trims are checked and
frequency
set,
is
and we'll get the taxi check
125.2, squawk
when we go.
4251.
John Ground Skyhawk 252 Romeo Kilo East Signature Taxi Hotel.
There were two. I'm sorry, was that 252 Romeo Kilo?
Affirmative, 252 Romeo Kilo East Signature Taxi Hotel.
Or 252 Romeo Kilo, John Wayne ground runway 20 left at Kilo, taxi via Alpha Hotel Charlie Kilo.
Alpha Hotel Charlie Kilo 20 left at Kilo Skyhawk 252 Romeo Kilo. Okay, so intersection departure 20 left
Long Beach ground number 111
at Kilo,
Yankee with the weather south driver.
and that's so they can get the jets across on Lima to 20 right.
Number 111 Delta Yankee Long Beach ground, you want 30?
25 left at Delta, be fine.
Number 111 Delta Yankee, roger, runway 25 left at Delta, taxi via Foxtrot Delta.
Foxtrot Delta 25 left, 1 Delta Yankee.
Johnny Tarscock 252 Romeo Kilo, short of 20 left at Kilo.
For 252 Romeo Kilo, John Wayne Tower, runway 25 left at Kilo, clear for takeoff.
20 left at Kilo, clear for takeoff, Skyhawk 252 Romeo Kilo. Okay. Alright, lights, camera, and action.
Approaching runway 20 left.
Number 2250 Romeo with information
Enter
here. I would
runway
like
20
flight
left.
following. We're going to be doing some maneuvers on the coast here.
Number 2250 Romeo, Santa Monica ground, I heard you, I was dealing with other traffic, stand by please.
Roger, sorry about that.
Alright, heading matches.
Say your aircraft type?
Cessna 182 Skyline.
There's RPM, engine gauges, airspeed alive, center line.
Number 2250 Romeo, departures on 125.2, squawk 42. You know, number 2250 Romeo, you said you're going to be straight out along the coast?
Roger that, we're just going to be doing some maneuvers under Bravo airspace and right before Point Magoo.
Alright, so you're headed westbound. I'm just trying to figure out which departure frequency to give you, standby.
Roger.
Alright, so heading 175.
For 2250 Romeo, that's going to be 125.2 for your departure frequency, squawk 4247, runway 21, taxi via Bravo.
Squawk 4247, departure 125.2, and taxi via Bravo to runway 21 for November 2250 Romeo.
And we'll transition to a cruise
For
climb,
252
planning
Romeo
light
Kilo,
off, strobe
connect
off.
SoCal departure.
Connect departure, we'll see a Skyhawk 2 Romeo Kilo.
Alpha level 6000, should be no factor.
So got departure, good evening, Skyhawk 252 Romeo Kilo, 1,300 climbing 5,000.
There's 665, 3 miles from Silex, turn right heading 050, maintain 4,000 to establish the localizer, clear Atlas runway 8 approach. Left climb again.
SoCal departure, Skyhawk 252, Romeo Kilo 1,700, climbing 5,000.
Sky 252 Romeo Kilo, SoCal departure, radar contact.
Alright, so we're crossing
Delta 14,
we're crossing the airway now, but we
West
don't want to
Central
join it yet. The clearance was radar vectors to Victor 23, not just join Victor
Delta
23.
1462, turn right heading 330, contact point gear approach 124.7.
So once we get up above whatever her
Approach
minimum
26,
vectoring altitude
26.
is, or clear of whatever traffic flow she's taking us clear of, we'll get a heading back to join the airway with instructions to join the airway, but we wouldn't want to join it right now, just because we're crossing it.
Number 2 Romeo Kilo, turn left heading 100, join Victor 23.
Left to 100, join Victor 23, Skyhawk 25 German Kilo. So, because I have custom weather set here, I'm actually going to get my weather off of the weather page on ForeFlight. You wouldn't generally want to do that in the airplane because it's not current. You'd want to obviously get the ATIS. And then I'm just going to get the ATIS just for the code.
MC McClellan Palomar Information Hotel. 0
So it's hotel.
Weather.
Same as in John Wayne. And our weather is variable at 5. And our ceilings are custom set to minimums for the approach. 2985 is the altimeter. Start having a look at this approach. I do have it loaded in the GPS, and I loaded it from Homley instead of loading vectors to final. And the reason for that is, if you load vectors to final, you lose all the fixes outside of the final approach fix. So if I'm in a position where I need to identify SCON or 1UP, it's a lot simpler to do it if I load the approach this way, rather than having to do distance from SIDRU on the vectors to final mode. So what I'll do is just activate a leg then, probably between SCON and 1UP, where we're likely to join. And then if we don't get vectors for some reason, if we get the full approach from Oceanside, we're set up there too. Approach Skyhawk 2 Romeo Kilo, information hotel, request vectors to ILS-24.
2 Romeo Kilo, make the request with the next frequency contact, SoCal approach 119.6.
119.6, Skyhawk 2 Romeo Kilo. SoCal approach Skyhawk 252 Romeo Kilo, level 5000, hotel, request the ILS-24 RB vectors.
Sky 252 Romeo Kilo, SoCal approach, Palomar altimeter 2985, depart Oceanside, heading 070, vector ILS runway 24 approach.
985 and depart Oceanside, heading 070, Skyhawk 252 Romeo Kilo. Okay, so we can formally brief this approach now. So we have the ILS runway 24 at Palomar. Expiration is September 15th, 2016. The localizer is 108.7. We have that dialed into the nav1. Final approach course is 245. Runway landing distance 4897. Airport elevation 331. Notes are about an operative table and an operative lights. Autopilot coupled approach doesn't apply to us. Helicopter doesn't apply to us. We have information hotel. We're on SoCal approach. Palomar Tower is in the COM 2 active. After Oceanside it's 070, vectors to final. Inside of SCON at 10.4, we go down to 2600, then 2300 inside of 1UP at 8. Glide slope intercept is at SIDRU at 2300, and our decision altitude is 527. Missed approach is climb to 3000 on a 245 heading, which is straight ahead, and then on the Oceanside 145 radial to Oceanside. no holding instructions there, and our turnoff will be to the left on landing. Okay, and I do have Oceanside and then I have 2. The GPS should sequence onto the missed approach for us, but we have Oceanside and then I have 2 in case we need it. And because I'm not actually using it right now, I'll put the 145 radial in for the missed approach course.
If you're under flight following, then it probably would be nice to go ahead and just let the
And because we're going inbound on that radial, we would put the radial on the tail to get the reciprocal course. So the numbers I want to have committed to memory here as we do this approach.
50 Romeo.
Our minimums of 527.
Before contact Santa Monica Tower 120.1.
And then the initial missed approach instructions, which is a straight ahead climb to 3000 to join the nav2 radial. So 527, straight ahead to 3000, and then join the radial on the nav2. Everything else I've briefed and I'm familiar with, and I can refer to the chart. I don't necessarily need to memorize all that, but I don't want to be coming down to minimums, wondering what they are and having to go heads down looking at the chart. I don't want to start the missed approach procedure, be adding power, pitching up, and all that, and not know what I'm doing. So I want to have the missed approach, or the decision altitude, and the initial missed approach instructions committed to memory. The standard approach profile in this airplane is about 90 knots at 2,000 RPM level, and then 1,700 RPM coming down in the sim anyway. I'm going to fly this approach a little bit faster just because I don't feel like I need to fly it that slow. So I happen to know that if I add about 200 RPM, I get about 10 knots extra. So I'll use 2,200 and then 1,900 coming down, and we'll see how that works for about 100 knots. Really the key thing is that 300 RPM difference between level flight and the 500 foot per minute or so descent is important, because we can plan on doing a 90 knot approach, but especially in busy areas like this, it's just not always going to be practical. So whatever airspeed we're maintaining in level flight, if we drop about 300 RPM, that'll take us down the glide slope, and we can fine tune from there. This real world weather download does a pretty good job of having variable winds and good modeling of winds aloft. So you do have to make some adjustments as you go down, which is nice. Sometimes in simulators it's it's a little bit too consistent. You have the same wind all the way down, and once you have the heading dialed in, you don't really need to do much. And on here there's a little bit of variability, so that's nice. Okay, so we're off on vectors now.
494 Bravo, correction, Juliet Bravo, Southern approach, Catalina altimeter 293.
So we'll go to procedures and activate approach.
Let's go ahead again.
Now we're not going direct to Homley, so let's go to flight plan, and the leg that we want is the one from Escon to Sidru. So I'm going to go to Sidru and go direct, enter, and that activates the leg.
20 now.
We can see the approach loaded there, and the magenta line is the one we're set up to intercept. So now we haven't lost any of the fixes. I did notice that 1UP is not in the GPS, so we'll have to use 1.5 from Sidru for that, which is fine. So now I can switch the CDI to VLOC mode, because we don't need the GPS for navigation anymore. And we'll go 245. Is the inbound course. Get that ready to identify as soon as we receive it. An interesting thing about this approach here is you can see from the approach plate that we're headed really straight for some high terrain. And if we had a lost
If
we had a lost comm situation here, we really want to be aware of where the terrain is, because we don't want to just keep flying on this downwind vector indefinitely. A little bit of turbulence there, or a little bit of a wind shift. So I can't pull up the synthetic vision on ForeFlight here. See some yellow and a little bit of red way off in the distance, but once we get a descent here, if we get a descent before a turn,
Golf Mike, contact Oakland Center 132.
we'll see some more red on there.
02 Romeo Kilo, started right turn now heading 180.
Right heading 180, Skyhawk 2 Romeo Kilo.
02 Romeo Kilo is going to maintain 3,500.
Down to 3,500, Skyhawk 2 Romeo Kilo.
No 2 Romeo Kilo 5 miles from Escon, fly heading 210. Maintain 3,500 till established localizer, cleared ILS runway 24 approach.
210, 3,500 till established, cleared ILS 24, Skyhawk 25 Romeo Kilo.
No 2 Romeo Kilo at Sidru, contact Palomar Tower 118.6. Good day.
At Sidru, contact the tower, Skyline 2, or Skyhawk 2 Romeo Kilo. Good day.
For Julie Bravo, thank you.
Alright, so instead of SCOM, we'll be able to go to 26. Alright, inbound course is 245. There comes the localizer. So I mentioned the cross-track error. There's a bug in the GPS when you activate a leg like this farther ahead on the approach, you lose the cross-track error, which is unfortunate. But I do want to stay on this screen so I have the track and desired track. So 3,500. Actually, we're inside of SCON now, so we go to 30,000 or 2,600. The gas is on both. Mixture rich. Switches will go landing light on. We're 2,600, and then when we're a mile and a half from Sidru, we can go to 2,300. And we're contacting the tower at Sidru. It's 2,900 for 2,600. Now on the level off here, I'm going to leave 2,200 RPM and trim throughout the process, and we should slow to 100 knots. Just a brief level off before we go to 2,300. There's 2,600. And 1.5 to Sidru, we can go to 2,300. Alright, and there's the glide slope. So power back to 19. Going down to 527. Landing check is complete, and we'll switch to tower. Palomar Tower, Skyhawk 252, Romeo Kilo, ILS 24 at Sidru.
252 Romeo Kilo, Palomar Tower, runway 24, cleared to land, wind variable 5.
24 clear land, Skyhawk 252, Romeo Kilo.
San Francisco clearance, United 411, good evening, Chase, side R2 at San Diego.
American 411, San Francisco clearance, very good evening to you, sir. Cleared to the San Diego Lindbergh Airport, west
It's 2000 for 527.
As filed, climb via SID, squawk.
This approach is straight ahead to 3000, then via the Oceanside radial in the
I
next
climb via the SID at 2776 for United 411.
A little bit bumpy and
United
some shifting winds here.
411, readback is correct.
You can see the airspeed fluctuating. And I'm having to do a little bit more work than I might in calm conditions. The winds at the surface are just variable at 5, but probably as they change on the way down. So 100 knots indicated, you know, probably 105 true, so 1,000 to go, and 91 knot ground speed. So we have a decent headwind right now, and that's going to be shearing to a calm wind at the surface. But 90 knot ground speed is 450 feet per minute.
I'm going green and ground.
To hold the glide slope.
691 and push back on Papa with Mike.
$1,200 for 527.
Back on Pop is approved, tail north.
Push back approved, tail north from Alpha 34691.
500 to go.
John Wayne clearance, this is Lancer Legacy 107 Tango X-Ray, requesting VFR flight to Santa Barbara.
It's 800 for 527.
107 Tango X-ray, John Wayne clearance, roger. On departure, flighting 240, maintain VFR to below 2,400. Departure frequency on 128.1, squawk 1471.
Flight departure heading 240, at or below 2,400. Departure frequency 128.1, squawking 1471 for 107 Tango X-ray.
107 Tango X-ray, back is correct.
Okay, there's approach lights and there's the runway.
John ground, Lancer 232 Zulu's at Southwest parking with information in gear for taxi, please.
We're 232 Zulu, John Wayne ground. Runway 20 right at Kilo, taxi via Bravo Kilo.
20 right at Kilo, taxi via Bravo Kilo. Lancer 320.
252 Romeo Kilo, exit to the left, taxi parking via Alpha, remain on this frequency.
Left exit Alpha with you, Skyhawk to Romeo Kilo. Good night. Alright, and then when you're finished, we want to disconnect from Pilot Edge. So we can do that either by going to the plugins menu and choosing Pilot Edge and disconnect, or we can give it 5 clicks on the push to talk button.
Disconnected.
So that's, you don't want to do 5 clicks trying to turn up the lights. That doesn't actually turn up the lights. What it does do is disconnect you from Pilot Edge, or connect you to Pilot Edge if you're off the network.